Here we go. The Taoist breathing system is a reflection of how the baby breathes in the mother's womb. I call this like embryonic breathing per se, because what the baby's doing is it's breathing in life force and nourishment through that umbilical cord right into the lower dantian. And then it's circulating throughout its entire body. It's literally like breathing blood essence or like living essence in through its whole body and circulating it. And the Taoist system is really centered on that lower dantian because it is like the battery and the main storehouse of energy in the physical body, right? So when we're doing that chi cycling system up the back, down the front, like the microcosmic orbit, what we want to do, just like in that original breathing system where we focused on the dantian, we want to focus there and imagine when we're breathing in, that we're just like literally breathing in the universe into that lower dantian area, right? And then we hold, and when we lock and we hold, like the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and we lock the root there, what we can imagine happening is that energy being like sucked down around the base of our brain, flowing up the spine and back down through the front of the body. And essentially what I do is when I hold, I imagine the energy is flowing like that, right? And then I exhale and I witness the energy flow faster. I witness that light that's building, that cycle get stronger, right? And then I breathe in, I power up that sun, and I breathe in the cosmos into that lower dantian. If it helps you, you can imagine that you're breathing up the mother, like you're literally breathing from beneath. The breathing with the mother technique that we practice. Breathe in the energy of the earth into us. We can imagine that we're doing that into our lower dantian, right? And we can imagine, or you can go back and forth. You can imagine breathing down the father energy, the cosmic energy into the lower dantian. The main point of it is to focus our awareness on the lower dantian and breathe up and charge up that area. And then when we pressurize and lock, right, we create the lock, we create that polarity, and then we imagine this energy looping up and back down, up and back down. Because you're creating that polarity and that tension as we extend our torso all the way, right? And we're creating a lock with the tongue to the roof of our mouth, just kind of like compressing energy up here, compressing energy into our root. Imagine that cycle, almost like you're pulling a rubber band, right? And it's going to snap back, right? What you're doing is you're charging up like that image of the cycle. And then when you exhale, you let the cycle happen, right? Yeah. Exhale and let the cycle happen. Oftentimes when we get into esoteric breathing methods, we like to be like, okay, when I breathe in, I'm pulling energy down, and when I exhale, the energy is coming up. But it's a little bit more advanced. This is to like, can we breathe in and literally imagine the energy just cycling both ways, up the spine, back down the front? Can we visualize that wheel and start to breathe in and perceive that wheel turning, right? And this is it's kind of like, a lot of people are interested in like the Merkaba and these types of things. And to do those kinds of meditations is to develop muscle memory, in the sense of like, how if I breathe in, I imagine I'm breathing in the mother into my lower dantian, right? Enough times. And then I switch to breathing the father down into my dantian. If I go back and forth enough times, can I get to the point where it's very natural for me to imagine myself breathing in and feel the cosmic force and the earthly force both flow, Like you're creating muscle memory. So it might be a little bit confusing to start with, but just keep it simple. Like, even if we have to take away the visuals for a second and just like breathe into that lower dantian center, lock the root, lock the base, right? Exhale, maybe imagine the energy spinning, then hold, empty, and just witness the flow of chi, and then repeat, Essentially though, if we find ourselves getting too stuck in the mind, which it sounds like you're having problems with, like too complicated with the visuals and stuff, just go back to just simply breathing very deeply, very slowly at an even count. Breath control is more important than trying to like add visuals and stuff to it if the visuals are distracting us, you know. Like simply breathing into the lower abdomen for, you know, a count of 4 or 5, holding for a count of 4 or 5, exhaling for that count of 4 or 5, you know, and fully being releasing into emptiness and present for a count of 4 or 5. Just doing that, slowing it down, you're going to develop deeper breath control as you concentrate on the breath. And essentially, like, the goal is to get subtle enough with that breath control and your awareness that as you do that, you know, you actually can start to feel the circulation of chi in which we're talking about, which we're imagining and kind of breathing into. And again, you know, it's a muscle memory thing. So yeah, I would definitely just start with the basic, you know, like breathing into that lower dantian area, holding, pressurizing, exhaling, you know, doing that cycle and just slowing it down and making it deeper. And then start working with the imagination of the chi and that awareness.
I think that the image with the rubber band you just gave me. Sorry, I'm just trying to find some light here.
No worries.
The image with the rubber band is good.
Mm.
I feel that.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, is like you're charging up energy potential when you inhale, like you're charging up that image and then when you exhale, it starts rotating, right?
Yeah.
Do that a few times and then see if as you inhale, you can just imagine that you're charging up the rotation brighter. And then when you exhale, it spins a little faster, you know, or a little stronger. You know, you can just start playing with it, playing with the perception and imagination that way. But ultimately, this kind of like technique, this like breathing through a certain channel, the microcosmic orbit, the purpose of it is like once we're already deep in breath work, is to really train our mind on that, like it like basically simplify that process after we practice it a couple of times, enough times, where when we're training our mind on that, literally we can extend the breath and the breath control much further, much more rapidly, because like we're so concentrated on the prana. It's really interesting. Once we get beyond like the feeling of like being out of breath or like the physical breath and stuff, and we really concentrate on the flow of energy, all of a sudden we can find ourselves like holding our breath on that exhale for 20, 30, 40 seconds. You know, it's really crazy the trance, the state you can get into once you get into that kind of breathing pattern. But it just starts at, you know, just baby steps. You know, what kind of imagination can help you take it deeper. You know, that's really what matters there, is like not to distract yourself with too much visuals where you're losing presence with the breath.
Yes.